right, Ijoma Yato there in London, but back now, 7 days post-quarantine in Lagos. Ijoma, welcome back, I must say.
Thanks a lot, Ladi.
But I wanted to find out, beyond what you reported there, what was your general feeling about the Nigerians that you spoke to there? What did they think of home?
Yeah, well, there are two categories. Now, there's some who are doing extremely well, like the ones that I showed earlier on, and they're doing well, they're working good jobs, high-flying jobs, I might add, some even on the international stage as well. Then there's the other category of diasporans that are not doing as well as they could, have gotten into the country just struggling and managing to survive. Now, for that particular category, the stories back home, they say, this is the reason I left in the first place. And it's difficult for me to want to come back because the problems that made me leave still exist. Whereas for the other strata of diasporans, they're looking to remit money home, they're happy, good jobs, and they're the ones trying to give us advice on how the country should be run at the moment.
All right, then, welcome back. It's been, of course, it's been a good experience. We're now being joined by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige. Dr. Ngige joins us, I believe, virtually. And also joining us virtually is Dr. Nwakwesi, who is a life development coach. I hope I got that right. Welcome to the program, and thank you for your patience. Let me start with you, Dr. Nwakwesi. You listened to the youth, you listened to the earlier discussion. We talked about the pipeline, what's blocking it, and now we're trying to look at how to get the blockage out of the way. From everything you've heard, do you think that that is possible, and if so, how? It would appear as if your mic is muted.
Sorry, let me just unmute it.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me very well now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for this question. Being an integrative healthcare practitioner and a personal development specialist, I usually deal with societal challenges from the roots. What I think that can get the Nigerian politics and change the political landscape is to make sure we include growth mindset and personal development training right from our primary, secondary, university education. In this country, we are too focused on formal degrees. But what is more important for us to develop leaders in this country?
We can still hear you. Please go on. Please go on.
Okay. What is most needed to develop leaders in this country is to include in the curriculum growth mindset and personal development. The reason is that leaders have to be prepared to be leaders. You can't just come out and say you are a leader and you have not learned leadership skills. Any problem?
No, please go on. We can hear you. We can hear you. We're following you.
You cannot just wake up and say you are a leader and you have not prepared for leadership. I am a medical doctor. I went to medical school. And learned the skills of being a medical doctor. Our lawyers learn how to be barristers. So if we are going to get Nigeria right, we need to include growth mindset and personal development training. And in fact, anyone that is coming out to be a leader would have done at least a year of that sort of program with a certificate so that you can at least have the attributes of being a self-actualized and a self-transcendent individual. Leaders have certain qualities. Leaders are constantly and continuously improving the calibers of who they are. They realize that they are spirit, mind, body, and they have relationships and marriages. And so they are continuously working on all those areas so they can be more balanced. They can live with an inner peace, inner contentment, inner harmony, empathy, love, and affection. So when they get to the leadership, They're not going to be concerned about money they're going to be putting in their pockets. They're going to be concerned about how they can impact society, how they can change the hunger in the land and make more impact. Now, a leader is supposed to be humble. Humility demands that.
Dr. Nwakwesi, I'm very sorry to interrupt. I just want to reintroduce Dr. Chris Waveza Ngige, the Minister of Labor and Employment, who joins us virtually, as I said earlier on. Dr. Ngige, are you there now?
I hope I'm there.
Yes, we can hear you. We can actually hear you. We can hear you. Thank you for your time. Let me, of course, let me quickly ask you, because it's lovely to have you join us, but let me ask you, everything we've talked about today has been on leadership. You are one of the leaders, the current leaders of the country. You're a minister, you've been a governor, and a senator as well. So, do you think that what has been said about leaders has been fair to those who have led?
Well, in the main, a lot of the things the young people are complaining about is true to a large extent. And I was happy I saw an honorable member also talking to them. He's also a young person. But there's one thing that is missing. That thing that is missing is that the young people do not believe that you can do what is called apprenticeship. In politics, you must do apprenticeship. No matter who you are, you need to be coached. Who incidentally did the NYSC the same time in Lagos, talking about the cost she's prescribing. Yes, that's a good thing, but many people would not like to go to that course. Many people will not be qualified to go to that course because when things are damaged from the foundation, you can't just then go upstairs and say you are repairing. You're wasting your time. Nigerian Constitution prescribes that anybody who wants to contest anything should have attempted West African school certificate. O level, attempted, educated up to. That's what is in the Constitution. And they've interpreted it to mean that you can come with the first school living certificate, which is under 6, and then attach some other experience, subsidiary certificates to standard 6, and it qualifies you. Or put a work experience, attach it to standard 6, and it qualifies you to run for governor, to run for president, to run for House of Reps, Senate, councillor, local government chairman. You can make progress with such a qualification that is in the Constitution. You can't. But it was being done to accommodate some people, or people from predominantly the area, that many people have not gotten school certificates, or even educated up to school certificates. So you find some of these people in the legislature. So how do they make laws? I was in the legislature. I know some legislators who never spoke for one day in our 4 years in the Senate. And I know in the House of Reps, the number is times 10, or even up to 100. So there must be some going back. And I think we have to go to the Constitution and then qualification for leadership, the academic qualification for leadership. Then from there you come, the next level becomes the training you are talking about, which some people can say experience gives them. Experience on jobs, maybe public service jobs, or even in the private sector. That experience, if they match it with a school certificate, then they can be good leaders. Then you also now go back to the days of yours, when we had the good leaders in this country. We had the good leaders in this country. We had Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. school teacher.
Dr. Ngige, my apologies for interrupting. We'll want to take a break, a very brief break, and then we'll come back. Please hold the thought. We'll come back after that break, and we will allow you to complete that. Thank you. All right, welcome back. Before that break, Dr. Chris Ngige, Minister of Labor and Employment, was making a point about the pipeline and apprenticeship that leaders, potential leaders, particularly the young, seem not prepared to want to undertake. Dr. Ngige, would you like to complete that train of thought?
Yes. Thank you again. I said the foundation is bad when the academic qualification for you to read and write is not what it's supposed to be. Elementary 6, going to parliament is of no use. Elementary 6, being governor, being a speaker, being a president, cannot offer you what the person doesn't have. So we need to amend that area of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria and give it a minimum that you have school certificates. And even if you are going to have school certificate, they can define it that you must also have at least 3 credits. Then you also go back. I don't know those who remove the history.
It does appear as if Dr. Ngige is... okay, better.
Curriculum. The education curriculum for secondary school. I wasn't there. I have to come back and restore history. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yes. Council on Education, NCE, National Council on Education, which is a body made up of the Minister of Education and his ministry, and all commissioners of education in the country. They have to go back and restore for us history. That subject called history. It has to be taught in primary school. It has to also be taught in secondary school. Because people have lost their history. Some of the young men talking today about separatism and the rest of them all did not read about Nigeria's independence and how it was gotten. They did not also witness it. Some of us were lucky to witness it, and we went to do the marching in the stadium in Enugu for the Union Jack to be brought down and for the new government to take over in the East. We also witnessed the war. If you didn't witness the war, you are supposed to read about it. What led to the war? Some separatist agitations occurred. In 1953, some legislators, federal legislators from northern Nigeria, left Lagos and went back to Kaduna and reported to Ahmadu Bello and said, we are not going back to Lagos. We want to get out of Nigeria. It needed dialogue, persuasion, and the rest of them all to get them. Even on their way going back to Kaduna, they were stoned at Ofa, at the railway station there, because they went by rail. And when the delegation sent by Nnamdi Azikiwe came to Kaduna, they were referred to go and see those in Kano. When they got to Kano, they were also stoned and pursued. It happened. The leaders, they managed it well. Dialogue, discussions, and agreed then that Nigeria will not have independence in 1957. Give and take. So our independence came in 1960. Another agitation, 1966 coup. Some people labeled it Igbo coup and did what they labeled also a revenge coup. In the revenge coup, a lot of Southeasterners were killed. And even before then, some northern officers say, we are tired of Nigeria. We want to go back to the north, Araba. That was the sanction. Again, discussions were held. Government discussed, and everybody agreed. They went to Aburi, came back from Aburi, and the thing didn't hold because some portions of the Aburi agreement were not met. And then killings continued. Odumegwu Ojukwu, carrying the Eastern region, went on secession. And the Nigeria-Biafra war happened, the Civil War. Millions of lives were lost on both sides. So people must read them. The young people not born before 1965 did not know what transpired. So they must know on both sides. On both sides. Because if you go to the so-called social media, I don't do it, but when they show me certain things there, you can see that the people are talking from a point of ignorance. And that is why the bitterness, the hatred is at its utmost degree. But when history is taught, and people even take exam in history, they will know some of these things. So for me, young people have to exercise some patience. They have to also do what is called pupillage in politics.
Okay, Dr. Ngige, let me...
all my experience in the civil service, my degree and everything, I did pupillage with Dr. Alex Ekweme. I was in pupillage for about 3, 4, 5 years, carrying his bag to meetings. And we were even struggling for the bag. Me, Professor B.C. Wosu, and so many of us, Dr. Keude, everybody, we were struggling for Dr. Ekweme's bag to get some knowledge, to be present at political meetings as people who are secretaries. Money is not everything. They talk about money, money, money. No. I joined resigning from the civil service. And when I didn't get the Senate nomination because they claim that I have not done enough pupillage, that I should serve more, when I came back to contest for secretary Assistant National Secretary of PDP, they really ran me and said, this man has the experience. He was a public servant and he retired meritoriously. And they supported me and I became an Assistant National Secretary.
Okay, Dr. Ngige, I appreciate that what you've said about training and apprenticeship and, you know, young people actually trying to learn from the older ones. But let me take you to another aspect of leadership that we would like to talk about today, and that is leadership versus the plight of the Nigerian worker and the average worker, which is something that we're privileged to have you here in the chair for you to talk to us about. Looking at the unemployment rate, it has quadrupled, at least in the last 5 years. And you find labor leaders over the last 61 years, the revered Pai Modu, going on strike to demand for better wages or just justice for the Nigerian worker. Could you say anything has really changed for the Nigerian worker? What should your leadership be doing to improve the lot of the Nigerian worker?
Well, my sister, I have to tell you the things as is. The leadership in Nigeria, especially the leadership we had since the advent of politics, they did not consider diversification of the economy as a major plank for the development of Nigeria. In fact, they were doing what we call consumption politics. You get money, you chop. You get money, you chop. No savings. No using of oil money, which is the mainstay of the economy, which is the main revenue base. No diversification, knowing that oil will finish one day or oil will become outdated. Hydrocarbon will get outdated as it is going now. Therefore, we have been caught napping. Our economy is very fragile. It didn't start with this government, but it started long ago. Long ago. Even from the military. It started from them. Now, everybody had hoped that when civilians come, they will do better. They will know more. But the civilians did not help matters. So there was no diversification. So what we have today is that we are panting for oxygen because we have not diversified, we have not encouraged agriculture, we have not encouraged manufacturing, we have not industrialization. A lot of industries have closed down. But it is not our fault. It's not the fault of Mr. Buhari. Mr. Buhari came even when the things have gone really bad and became what he was saying at $100 a barrel. 2.2 million barrels production per day. When he came, the thing died. Niger Delta crisis. He had to contend with it. Projection for oil, OPEC gives you a production quota of 2.2. At one point, we were producing 700,000 barrels. 1 million barrels. 1.3. Right now, we are around 1.6 or thereabout. We have not even finished our OPEC quota. Even with the condensate, we have not. Prices have pummeled. $27 a barrel, $30 a barrel, 50, 40 something. At one point during COVID, when COVID came, oil price was 10, Nigerian oil sold at $10 a barrel, and we had no persons to buy. We are going to pay for storage. That's where we were. I'm a member of the Economic Sustainability Committee, and the day the CBN governor and the GMDN, MPC, and Minister of State Petroleum was laying this out, everybody was in tears because we have nothing to fall back on. So for me, the Nigerian workers have not fared too well because their economy is in very dire straits. But however, this government have tried to do 3 cardinal things I will tell you. Number one.
You have barely 1 minute. Dr. Ngige, you have 1 minute to round this up because...
President Muhammadu Buhari directed that there will be no retrenchment of any worker.
That's number one.
No retrenchment.
That's number one.
Number 2, salaries will be paid as and when due. And the federal government is doing that religiously. It's only the state government. So when you hear some people say federal government is owing us, no. They don't owe them salaries. They are owing them some end allowances,
okay,
like the university teachers will tell you, ASU, or even the doctors will tell you. They are all end allowances. Some of those allowances were allowances contracted 2009. Agreements for them were done in 2009, not now. That's number 2. Number 3 is that this government has pursued diversification aggressively, especially in the area of agriculture, because agriculture is the mainstay, is the low-hanging fruit. So the borders were closed. We produce what we eat, and we didn't import food anymore. Before we came, there was food importation. Potatoes from South Africa, you see them in the Sheraton Hotel, Hilton Hotel. When you go there, the potatoes are from South Africa. You will see tomato from South Africa. You will see apple from Geneva. You will see, so all those have gone, they are gone. This government stopped it. And we were then able to plug the leakages, especially in the area of foreign exchange. But you can only do some things that are possible in a very bad situation. You cannot do miracle. The only person doing miracle is gone, and that's Jesus Christ of Nazareth. You can't do miracle. All those claiming miracle now are just claiming miracle in the air and in paper. Only one person was doing miracle, and he has gone. So whatever we are doing today is that out of a very bad situation, we are trying to make it good. And for the Nigerian worker, we thank them for their patience. They have understood what the situation is. But the government have also tried to ameliorate the situation for the lowest paid worker by fixing a minimum wage, raising it from 18,000 to 30,000. But if the truth must be told, there's also inflation, there's also erosion of their currency. And this now looks like that 30,000 we did 2 years ago is no longer a huru for the Nigerian workers. But I can tell the Nigerian workers that we will continue to try our best, and I thank them at Independence that they understood what's going on. The labor leaders now are more literate and very, very well articulated in their thoughts that We don't even need to teach them about the economy. They read the economy. They go on the internet. They go on Plat and know what is happening in the petroleum industry. So we thank everybody for the patience. We thank Nigerians too. They have shown patience. But we pray for the days to change and for goodies to come back to Nigeria.
All right, Dr. Ngige, thank you so much for that. So much to pack there into the last 61 years for the Nigerian worker. We continue to work on it, as you've said. Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, thank you so much for your time on the show tonight.
Thank you. And thank you, Nigerians. Happy Independence Day celebration.
Thank you, and to you. Now, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be back shortly, and the conversation will continue as we wrap up on the thoughts on leadership on Nigeria at 61. Stay with us. Welcome back to the conversation. Now we're on our last legs, let's put it that way. We still have our personal and life development expert, Dr. Ife Nwakwesi, there with us. Dr. Ife, just give us your overall thought of the discussion and how this should take us as we move forward, 61 years on.
Ijoma, thank you very much for the opportunity. Ijoma, I'd like to keep things real. Nigeria is a failed nation. Our leadership is not doing well, and that's the truth. And that's because we've gone to the game without our first 11. In Nigeria, we have talented, creative, passionate, determined men and women, and even the youths who can get this job done properly. I am thinking that it's time the older people give a chance to younger people with the knowledge, with the passion to change our country.
It does.
Okay.
Yes, I think she's back.
Now, when I started, I said we need men and women and youths that have adopted a growth mindset. And I am serious about that. Because if you just focus on formal education, people are not going to develop value systems. They're not going to develop common sense and wisdom knowledge. Some people have gone to the university, they came out in life and they didn't make a success of life. Some other people didn't even go to university and they come out and make a success of life. If you want to be a leader, you've got to prepare for leadership. You've got to develop an inner being of harmony, impact, happiness, creativity, and you need to be able to choose the decisions you make. You must look at the consequences of the decisions you make. When you take a decision, how is it affecting the larger populace? Is your decision going to change lives? Or is it going to impoverish people? If you decide to go abroad to go and take your medical care, what about millions of Nigerians that are dealing with failed healthcare in the system and they are dying untimely? Let me tell you something. I'm talking to the elites. I'm talking to the youths. I think that it's time we walk our talk. In this country, we are talking too much. Webinars, workshops. It is time for the elites to come together, put objectives in place, and then put their financial resources to work with the youth and the women to change the leadership.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Dr. Nwakwesi. That's a good point to end it. We've completely run out of time. When discussions are interesting, you tend not to be absolutely conscious of how time has flown. I want to thank you for your time on the program this evening.
But
thank you so much.
You didn't quite give me enough time to have my conversation.
My apologies for that. My apologies for that. My apologies. On TV, time flies.
No problem.
My apologies for that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Ijoma, you have a word?
Yeah, that's fine, Daddy. Thanks a lot as well. Happy Independence Day. Just to point out briefly, her saying Nigeria being a failed state, what then would she be suggesting to get out or to stay?
There are many people who will contest that, but we do need to absolutely go. So, but we want to thank our viewers for this almost 3 hours that they've spent with us. Nigeria at 61, Thoughts on Leadership. And we hope that the conversations, frank as they've been, will enable you to take something away from it.
Thanks a lot. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Ladi Akari Delali. Do have yourselves a pleasant evening.